All right. Okay, so we give everybody a minute. Do a couple quick edits here while we waited. So hang tight, hang tight, hang tight, hang tight. Pull this up. Let me go live on the Instagram. Start that. There we go. All right, that's live. All right, let me just do a quick chop up edits here. And we will get going. Make sure that volume is down. Let's edit this. All right, we're just going to give it a couple minutes, get time for people to come in. And while we wait, I will do my quick 2-3 minute editing. All right. There we go. Shit, I don't want that. All right, just gonna give it a few minutes. Welcome everybody. Almost done with the editing. All right, we're good there. Save that. All right, cancel out of here. All right. All right, we'll give it another minute. As you see, last minute thing again, popped on a little bit late. Try to stay on for a little bit. Also wanted to come on. Obviously, we got some things going on too that I wanted to put out there. Put a video up earlier on the Instagram, but I'll run over some of those things here real quick before we begin. So just hang tight, and then we will get to cracking. All right, hold on one second. All right. All right, so I'm gonna run through some quick announcements while we wait and give it a couple more minutes, another minute or two. So, 1 second. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on. All right. First and foremost, fertile blessings to everybody here. Put a video, as I said a couple minutes ago, up earlier on Instagram and Facebook. So I had planned to come on tonight anyway. I know a lot of people had reached out in reference to the hurricane that came through Florida. Like I said, if you didn't catch the Instagram feed earlier today, we were fortunate. We didn't get a direct hit on this side. As I said, I'm on the southeast portion of the coast of Florida, which is the Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. We did get we got a little bit of tropical weather, some wind and rain, 30, 40 mile an hour, maybe 50 mile an hour gusts. Some rain for about 2 days, but no serious damage. No power outages, nothing like that. There were some tornadoes that touched down, though, because that's the danger of these type of storms. The climate is right for those type of things. Hold on. Yeah, so the climate is right for those type of things. So there was some tornadoes, scattered tornadoes that touched down in the area. But the main thing, as far as structural damage and power outages, we were spared all that. Now, having said that, as I said also on that Instagram video this morning, the west coast of Florida wasn't so fortunate, especially the Naples, Fort Myers, Estero, Port Charlotte area. So as I said on that video this morning, if you got peoples out that way, check on them. They got hit pretty hard out that way, especially if they lived, close to the intercoastal, which is always a hot spot. People in the intercoastal were told to evacuate, and some obviously make the decision to stay, which is probably not a wise decision. But as I said, also they're becoming a little bit more equipped and prepared to deal with these things down here in the last several years, 10 years or so. So there's a good response. So hopefully, they get those things back in order. It's pretty bad, but not as bad as it could have been. But we're good on this end, just to put that out there, because I know people you emailed, reached out. It's hard with everything going on. I can't individually respond to everybody, so I don't want to think if I didn't respond back to you, I was ignoring you. It's just a lot going on. So that's why I did the video earlier, and I want to put it out here today. Everything is good on this end. We didn't get a direct hit. We got weather. We got a little bit of it, but we didn't get the direct portion of it. All right, so infernal blessings to everybody that's here. Mika, enhanced gifts. Jenny, always here moderating. Appreciate that. Asiatic Soldier, shout out to New Jersey. And anybody else, obviously they'll come in later. And anybody that watches the recording later, infernal blessings to all you guys that made it. All right, so I'm just going to run through some quick announcements. We have the new events. As I said on that Instagram live this afternoon, I worked on that earlier today. So we got the events up for October. October is probably the busiest month for us here at Primordial Chaos. We have a lot going on in the month of October between Patreon, and then we have the 5th annual Journey to the Black Adept Conference, which pops off at the end of the month. It's super busiest month of the year. That's why we finished strong, taking it up to around Thanksgiving time. And then, as you know, from then until New Year's Day, I shut down. We kind of relax, chill, regroup, gather ourselves, get our goals and thoughts focused to end the year going into the new year. That's how I do work throughout on a yearly basis. That's how I set my personal calendar up. I try to encourage you guys, if you can. I know everybody's schedule is different. We try to encourage you guys to kind of go into that hibernation in that winter solstice, that time of darkness, to reflect, to really put some thought and intention to your goals as you emerge in that season of spring and growth, right? It's a great period to really just focus on yourself, to put everything else aside, and to really go, within to see what it is you really need to do about yourself as you move forward into the year. We'll talk more about that as we approach that coming into October. So having said that, let me put that out there first, since we're so close to it. The 5th annual Journey to Black Adept Conference. We're encouraging everybody, if you're going to attend, in person or virtually, now's the time you want to sign up. People are signing up. We do have spots left live and in person. Virtual, there is no cap. And many people want to come. There is a difference between attending virtually and live, obviously, and I'll briefly explain. So the event kicks off live Thursday night, October 27th. The event is being held in downtown Hollywood, Florida, which is in the heart of Fort Lauderdale. And as I said before, it is 10 minutes or so away from the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. It's close to the beaches, shopping, hotels, restaurants, Airbnbs. A lot of people that are reaching out for the conference, most people that come, and I think I've mentioned this a few times, a lot of people get Airbnbs. They tend to find Airbnbs that are better prices. And there's so many available in the area. So I would encourage people that are thinking of coming, you might want to weigh both options. We have some people that like to be right on the beach, so they get a hotel like a Marriott or something, or a Hilton right on the beach, and that's fine too. It's just a matter of your preference and what you're looking to do. But you have a lot of good options and pretty reasonable prices. So it's close to all of that, and it's minutes from the venue. And again, I also said some people Uber it the whole couple of days they're here. They don't even get a rental car. If you're just trying to get from point A to point B. Some do get rental cars because they want to go see other things. But either way, you have that option. It's very convenient, easy to get around. So Thursday night, October 27th, we meet at the venue that we have set up for the meet and greet, which is 8 p.m. Thursday night, October 27th. Everybody will meet each other, talk, socialize a bit, get to know each other, get all that stuff out of the way before we get to work the next day. With our itinerary, right? So Friday and Saturday, pretty much same schedule as far as the format. There will be 4 workshops that'll be going on, 4 to 5 each day, I believe. From 9 to 4. There's a break for lunch on each day. And then we come back after 4, we leave. People go back to their hotel, relax for a couple hours. Then we come back around 7:30, 8-ish and do a group ritual together. We have some good stuff planned for this year, especially Friday night. That's going to be crazy. And then we finish it off with a group dinner on both nights afterwards. We kind of go out afterwards, hang out, kick it, and let loose, which is always a fun time. The second night's ritual, again, will be outside. We do 1 indoor working and 1 outdoor working, and we try to do it always at the beach, the cemetery. It just all depends on what we got going on. It's going to be at the beach. This year. So we always try to incorporate some type of drumming and get people that full experience out there. It's good to have both experiences. A ritual working outdoor in nature is always a good experience. And then Sunday, the 30th, we finish it off with a open question and answer discussion. All right. That takes place from noon to 4 p.m. And then that concludes the event. And most people either break out Sunday night or Monday morning. So I encourage you, if you're going to attend live, information's going right on the bottom of the ticket there. Contact me at that email, knum19@gmail.com, KHNUM19@gmail.com. And put that in the title of the email because of all the emails that come through. Put 5th Annual Journey to Black Adept Conference, just so I see it right away, because that's the focus right now. I'm ciphering through those emails first because that's the important thing at the moment, because we're trying to get this all organized, finalized, and get a head count and things of that nature. Just list if you want information on attending virtually. Now, the virtual gives you access to all 3 days classes and workshops. Not the rituals, obviously. There's too much going on. I don't do the rituals in a virtual private setting like I do Patreon. It's just too much going on. But if you want to attend virtually, it will give you access to all the classes and workshops on Friday, Saturday, plus the question and answer discussion from noon to 4. And you'll be able to interact with everybody that's there live. You'll be able to interact with me like we did last year. So we'll have people live on Zoom in the Zoom room. I have that right there live at the venue. So it's kind of, I connect everything. We got people, in the Zoom room, and then you can even interact with the people that's there live at the event, just like we did last year. So now's the time, sign up, as we are just basically about 3.5 or so weeks away, 4 weeks roughly. Let's just say we're pretty much just a little less than a month out, about 3.5 weeks. So we encourage you to go ahead and reach out and start signing up for that. Also, if you're interested in a spiritual consultation or a spiritual reading, I offer a variety of different type of readings, different telepathic demonic readings, Santa Muerte and Spirit of the Dead readings, Egyptian oracle readings, readings to see what deities or spirits walk with you to help you understand yourself, not to worship them. And shadow work readings, which is huge because that's a great place to start. It's the number one question: where do I begin? Where should I start? What kind of ritual work I should be doing? Well, shadow work is the purpose of that. Shadow work always uncovers the direction you should be going, and shadow work clearly identifies areas of improvement that you need to work on. And then it's always good to, design work geared towards your needs and take care of the wants, as I always say, afterwards. So if you're interested in a reading or a consultation, shoot me an email, the one that you see going on the bottom of the screen across the ticker, KHNUM19@gmail.com, and I will send you a list of prices. Also, if you're going to book a reading, please include the day and time that you are available in your time zone that you're in. Very important. Very important. Okay. Hold on. What's going on here? That didn't go through. Why? And I would encourage you also to check out the Patreon page, which I'm going to go over the upcoming classes for the month of October and how that's going to factor in with the conference. There's a lot, as I said in the beginning, there's a lot going on. October is the busiest month of the year for me. Again, I would encourage you to check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/Baniti, BANITI. That's the Primordial Chaos Patreon page. I would encourage Tier 3, gives you access to the 3 private classes that I do a month, in addition to the monthly ritual. Also, check out the Primordial Chaos podcast, which is available pretty much on all podcast platforms, Spotify, Anchor, Amazon, Radio Public, you name it. You can pretty much find it anywhere. There's some content on there I encourage you to check out. All right, so this month's events and classes, let me give you kind of real quick. This is the last thing I want to do, and then we'll get into our topic for this evening. Let me just give you the correct dates and times. Now, again, you can sign up for these classes individually, right? If you're not a Patreon member, each class individually is $56 for each class. But if you sign up on Tier 3 on Patreon, you get access to all 3 classes for $25. So to me, it's a no-brainer, but some people still sign up individually, and that's entirely up to you. So each class individually is $56, but Tier 3 gives you access to all of the classes for the month and the ritual for $25. And to me, that's a way better bargain. So I've definitely checked that out. Patreon.com/Baniti, BANITI. Hold on one sec. Let me pull this up. Yeah, and that's Tier 3 will give you access to everything. Okay, so I'm gonna run down the list of the upcoming classes for the month of October and kind of factor it in. As I told you, the schedule is a little bit crazy because I mentioned last time due to the fact that my little guy has started his travel hockey season. So I'm traveling up and down the state and out of the state. Occasionally, we have a few tournaments that we leave. All right, so we finish off this month. We do have a ritual for those that are Patreon members, Tier 3. And this is kind of why I chose tonight's topic to kind of segue into that. Tomorrow night completes our classes and events for the month of September. We have the wisdom of the ritual of the wisdom of Tehuti tomorrow night, which is something a little different as far as the method of the ritual, the type of ritual we've done a little bit different. That'll be tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is only for Patreon members, though. To participate in the rituals, you do have to be a Patreon member, Tier 3. I've also said in the past, if you would like to attend the monthly rituals and actually come here, that is free. That's something I was doing prior to the pandemic. Then we shut it down for a little bit. So I want to put that invitation out there if anybody would like to come at the end of the month when we do the rituals here, you're more than welcome to come down here. You just need to reach out to me. I just need to have a brief conversation with you, just to know who you are, kind of where you're at. And when I say where you're at on this path. And then we'll go from there. So it is open for people to come anytime you want to come at the end of the month. Just reach out to me beforehand, and then we'll go from there. So that ritual will be tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that closes out the month of September. So then we get right back into it the next day. So here's October's events, dates, times. And again, everything I'm telling you is posted on all of the social media platforms. Primordial Chaos 9 on Instagram, which we are live now. Primordial Chaos, two words on Facebook, which we are live on there too. And then right here on the YouTube page, in the community section. So how to sign up for the classes, all that stuff is posted on all of those social media platforms. Check them out. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel here. Get the likes up. Hit that like button so this spreads out and reaches more people. Also, hit that notification bell after you subscribe. And make sure you hit all notifications so you do get that alert when I either upload something or go live. Most of the time I go live. I don't really upload too many recordings. All right, so then we kick it off the very next day, Saturday, October 1st, Shadow Work class number 11. That'll be at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is an ongoing series like all of them. It'll continue to be ongoing. This is a very in-depth, thorough class. There's a lot of work involved in it. So just to answer the questions, like I said, when you join the Patreon page, tier 3 and above, you have access to all of the archived material going back from day one, which that'll keep you current and you have access to everything going on now and then moving forward. And there's a lot of material on there. Trust me when I tell you. As you know me, I can crank out the stuff quick. So people always ask with these ongoing series, if I joined now, yeah, you can join at any point. And then in between classes, you usually have a month in between these classes. It's encouraged to at least knock out one or two previous because there's work involved in these classes. More so the shadow work. I mean, they all have work involved in them. And as I said, I don't babysit people. I don't walk behind nobody. It's your job and responsibility to carry out that work. Because without putting in the work, then you're not going to get the full beneficial results, especially the shadow work class. There's very critical work from class 1 up until now, which will start class 11 this Saturday. And if you really apply yourself and do the work, I guarantee you're going to find out a lot about yourself, and you're going to get a lot of results as far as changes that you're looking for to better yourself. So that's Saturday, October 1st, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Shadow Work class number 11. The following Saturday after that, Saturday, October 8th, we will be doing Klipathic Yoga Meditation and Kundalini Awakening class number 6. We focus in that class on important things, as I was saying this morning on the Instagram Live. Proper breathing techniques. It's critical. We have to analyze our breathing. A lot of us are mouth breathers. I've always suggested have somebody observe you while you sleep. If you don't have that ability, record yourself while you sleep. Proper circulation, breathing, understanding your endocrine system, your respiratory system, the immune system. All of that is critical so you can be at your optimum best. A lot of people struggle and they're unsuccessful in their ritual work because they're not in sound mind, body, and spirit. When I'm saying sound mind, body, and spirit, sound mind is just not, we're not talking about what somebody would label just crazy. That's part of it. You need to be in your sound mind. But I'm also talking about a healthy mind and a healthy body to the best of your degree. And again, I know people deal with different situations and circumstances, so everybody's different, but you need to have breathing techniques down. We focus on that in this class. I've recommended a book multiple times over the last 10 plus years, Science of Breath by Yogi Rag Chamraka. I know I put it in the chat before. Maybe if somebody can find that, put it in there, Jenny or somebody. Easy book to get. You need to work on those breathing techniques and exercises in there are very powerful and very helpful to your spiritual growth. So we focus on that. We focus on
working with the chakra system, make sure they're operating correctly, how to identify areas of concern. We focus on the proper way to raise the Kundalini energy in this class because, as I said before, Kundalini energy isn't always pleasant. Okay, contrary to belief, when you're uncovering that shadow self and you're raising up, it can be very painful sometimes when that Kundalini energy is being raised. So we talk about the good, the bad aspects of it, and how to deal with it, right? And then meditation and tones, vibrations, and frequencies through mantras and chanting, which are all powerful tools for your ritual work. And this class is designed to focus on these core principles because this is critical and important to you carrying out your work efficiently and successfully. The problem is a lot of people are into black magic, the occult, or spirituality on something, but they don't really have no technique of how to apply the work. And one thing I've been trying to do from day one with the YouTube channel, now the Patreon, I'm trying to show you, I'm not one of those people that come on these platforms and just, though I can talk, right? I can sit there and we can discuss a wide range of topics. But as I said before, it's pointless if you can't take any of this information, apply it, and create ritual work where you're going to master yourself spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially, right? So that's one of my goals, is to show you guys how to do the work. So that class is very important for that. That's going to be Tuesday, October 11th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm sorry, Saturday, October 8th. I jumped to the next one. Saturday, October 8th, correction, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Telepathic Yoga Meditation and Kundalini Awakening class number 6. Then the Tuesday after that, which is Tuesday, October 11th, we will do the Esoterical Occult Bible Study class number 6. This is a class I enjoy doing. We break it down, the esoterical and occult hidden concepts of the scriptures. We go into some of the lost books. We go into the Apocrypha. We're all over the place. We've broken down the Jesus myth. We've gone through who are the real Israelites, the whole Exodus thing. We cover these topics and then give you the occult breakdown. It's a very thorough class. It's a good class for a lot of us that have grown up here in the West, because a lot of us have been influenced by religion, whether we grew up in a strict religious environment, but we're exposed to it everywhere we go in society. It's everywhere you go to a certain degree. So it's a great class, but from an occult perspective. And we go through that Bible, which will segue us into the Quran. I'm going to be developing a portion of the Eastern Left-Hand Path and magic class dealing with the esoteric breakdown of the Quran. We'll be dealing with Sufism and things of that nature. That's coming. So that class is Tuesday, October 11th. So that's our 3 classes for the month of October. Shadow Work class number 11, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, October 1st. Saturday, October 8th, the Telepathic Yoga Meditation and Kundalini Awakening class, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, October 8th. The Esoterical Occult Bible Study class number 6, Tuesday, October 11th, 8 p.m. And then our monthly ritual will be the week before, because due to the conference, this is where it gets a little different. Saturday, October 22nd. We usually don't do the rituals on a Saturday. It's usually a Friday night. But I have something that Friday night. My Panthers hockey season kicks off. I got season tickets, so I'll be at the game that night. So we'll do it Saturday, October 22nd, 8:20 p.m. The Kali Mantra and Meditation Ritual. This is going to be good. This ritual will exclusively focus on meditation and mantras directed on specific aspects of connecting with Kali for specific reasons. You will see that in the ritual. As we know, it'll be focusing on the great aspects of her as a destroyer and a reconstructor. And the mantras will be geared towards that. And we'll be doing that as a group in that ritual. So that's Saturday, October 22nd, 8:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You must be a Patreon Tier 3 member, though, or you have to come here live and in person to participate in that ritual. That's the only 2 ways. All right. Either be here live if you want to attend, reach out to me. There's no charge to come live. It's free. It's just the cost of you traveling to get here. So if you want to come live, feel free. I know some people, I think, are going to come a few days early for the conference, because right after that, we turn right back around, and that Thursday is that's where the conference kicks off 5 days later on Thursday the 27th, and that's going to run to the 30th. So this month is packed. We got something going on in the month of October every week, sometimes 2 things, and then the end of the month we have the 4-day event. So October's jam-packed. That's what we got going on. If you need any information on anything I just said, the rituals, the classes, everything's posted here on all the platforms. If you need to reach out to me, information for a spiritual consultation or a spiritual reading, all that information is right on the bottom of the screen. All right, if I didn't greet you and you came in late, Infernal Blessings. Thank you for popping in last minute. I came on a little bit late tonight. Wasn't the official plan, but I said, you know what, let me get on here and talk about some of these things. What the hell is going on here, man? You see the topic. I kind of chose this topic because we are getting ready to do something tomorrow geared towards this. So I'm going to come out of a classic book that everybody I know on this path knows about. You should have it in your library. If you don't, there's something wrong with you. I have me a nice hardback copy of it because this is a go-to book. This is one of the first books I suggest people get, the Kabbalion. The Hermetic philosophy, not the Kabbalah, because people, newcomers, sometimes get that confused. Kabbalion, you see the spelling, Kyblion. You don't know how many, I'm sure you guys deal with it too. You don't know how many people reach out to me and get a book on the Kabbalah and go, oh, I don't see anything in there that you were talking about. Not the Kabbalah, not the Kabbalah or the Kabbalah, the Kabbalion, Kyblion. That's more so for you newer people. Want to make sure you get the right book by the 3 initiates. I got the hard copy cover. This is a book I want to keep in good standard. They do make it in a very cost-efficient paperback. It's free. You can get a free PDF of it on the internet. It's also on apps like Scribd for free. It's a very easy book to get. But there's one section I want to focus in here on page 40, the mental universe. Now we know this is the sacred wisdom of Tehuti. We know Tehuti is the Egyptian deity or god that is synonymous with knowledge and intellect. He's also known as the great scribe. We see he has the ibis bird head. He has the long beak, which represents the quill. He's known as the scribe and the recorder, right? Because all that is synonymous. There's some Masonic overtones to that because the secretary or the scribe or the recorder of the lodge in essence is like a Tehuti because he archives all the knowledge. But Tehuti takes on many different meanings to us in the occult. He is synonymous with the lunar energy and the baboon deity and the moon, which goes into uncovering hidden gnosis in various different aspects of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. There's different manifestations when you study Hermetic philosophy on back to ancient Egypt. As Tehuti, or some know as Thoth, different manifestations later on as Hermes, etc. So this information comes even when you get into the Emerald Tablets, right? That is an important piece of work. We've talked a little bit about that. Not a little bit. We've actually talked about that a lot in previous classes. So we know the wisdom and the knowledge and those things that are connected to Tehuti are very vital because he brings a level of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to the intellect is what makes him unique. The ritual that we're going to do tomorrow night is focused on that. The ritual is geared tomorrow where it's geared to enhance and sharpen and make our knowledge, wisdom, and understanding and our spiritual power even more potent, right? Like most rituals where we're usually in black ritual attire, this is different. We're in white attire for this ritual. Blue and white is the color and the theme of this ritual. Blue and white candles will be used throughout this ritual, and certain type of incense and fragrances and some other things, which I'm not going to get into here. So I wanted to focus on the section in the Kabbalah, the Hermetic philosophy of the mental universe and how Tehuti or Thoth breaks this information down. Now, if you understand the history of the Emerald Tablets and the Kabbalion, it's conveyed that this was direct divine communication from Tehuti, right? Now, you take it with a grain of salt. To me, that's not so much important debating, right? Because there's going to be people that get technical, and it could be a debatable topic. I'm not concerned about that. I told you that type of debating is pointless to me. It's the content of the information that's critical, and it applies. That's all I care about. Because if you negate that, depending on your stance on it, to me, it's irrelevant. It's the focal point of the foundation of the information that it's conveying. We're going to focus on page 40 to 48, the mental universe. And it's not just focus. Focus is on more than just that first Hermetic principle. All is mental, mental is all, the universe is mental. It goes deeper than that. We're gonna dig a little bit further than just that. All right. So let me go there. Let's just run through a couple of things real quick. And again, if you have the book, and I think the soft version goes the same page number, I'm not sure, but it's chapter 5, the mental universe. In the hard copy, it starts on page 40, just in case for those maybe following along or pulling it up. All right. Now, it starts off at the top. You always see, get familiar with the symbolism too. When you look at, there's a lot of what we would call symbols or sigils. You need to pay attention to that. You see the circle with the triangle, and then the square, and then the circle inside the square, which represents infinity or infinite, right? There's a science with the circle and the square. There's Masonic meetings, esoteric or occult meetings. When you hear that term, when you hear Masons say, "Are you standing firm on your square?" That's a representation of this. The circle is always a representation of he who began or she who began drawing that circle. He or she is the only one that knows the beginning or ending point of that. And that signifies you standing, the center, the axis of your universe, right? You create that circle. You're the center. The list goes on and on. There's different meanings, different breakdowns. It just depends on what school of thought you're coming from. All right. So it says at the top, the universe is mental, held in the mind of all. Now, the chapter before that, it deals with the concept of the all in quantum physics and metaphysics, right? The quantum represents 4, right? The square, right? And the science of understanding what they say in quantum and metaphysics of the all, right? You hear terms also such as all things are connected, right? So there's a term that's used, you can't add to all or take from all, because the question is, where would you get it and where would you put it? Einstein talked about this. A lot of scientists talked about this. It's to help you see that there's no separation. We've talked about this many times on and off over the years. There's no separation, but here's the deep thing that most people don't talk about. But you have to retain a certain level of individuality to separate it from it, to see the togetherness. And that might sound crazy to some people. It may not even make sense, but that's the mission of what this path is about, right? Tapping into the isolated and individuated consciousness that each one of us have, because each individual aspect of that makes up this collective all. So in essence, it's not separated. That's not saying it's separated and contradicting what this says. It's what it's just saying is there are fragments are small portions that manifest out of this, but it's not disconnected from it. And we're not taught that because we're always pushed away from going within and looking at who we are as individuals first, right? That's never encouraged or promoted because you're always taught from day one to embrace a system of conformity, which is rules and regulations and dogmas. And you must stay in line with this. And if you deviate outside of it, then there's all types of consequences, judgments, and all the other bullshit that comes along with it. So what makes this path different? No, we're trying to show the individual you must step outside the box to understand. When we're saying outside the box, it's a term used. It's almost like saying, if you're perched above high looking down on something so you could visually see everything, is different from being on the ground when everything is around you and you don't have that clear insight. It's like saying the puppet master, right, who is controlling the strings in a puppet show, right? You can see it in that sense because you're now controlling it. When you're messed completely in it and you're in conformity with everything else that is involved in it, you will never come to that understanding. That's part of the understanding and wisdom of becoming a god or a goddess. That's what we mean when we talk about being a nonconformist in your way of thinking, your spiritual approach, and your understanding, understanding, and overstanding of these things, as many different people say, right? So that's the goal. To understand the mental universe, one must first and foremost, and as I said, the Kabbalion or the sacred wisdom of Tehuti or the seven Hermetic principles, whatever you want to call it, is a very helpful tool in helping you understand your subjective consciousness. Because the subjective realm is where the magician, the spiritual occult practitioner taps into, is where everything is formed first before it's brought to your objective realm or objective consciousness. And as you've heard me say many times over the years, a lot of people always focus you to the principles of Ma'at first. Remember, the principles of Ma'at are those that govern the objective realm. You must understand these seven Hermetic principles first because they govern and rule the subjective realm. Both work side by side, hand in hand, but you can't have one without the other. Because Matt deals more with the lesser mysteries, right? It's the the physical harmonization of your objective consciousness and objective understanding. Whereas the Hermetic principles, the seven of them, they go outside of person, place, and thing. It deals with things outside of those three things or constructs that people get trapped, and it lessens their understanding. To understand things of a spiritual nature, such as the astral realm, life after death, reincarnation, where we came from, what happens to us when we die, you must go outside of that three-dimensional understanding and level of thinking of person, place, and thing. And all of these man-made physical religions are confounded by person, place, and thing. All religions are. There's a person that rules over it, whether it's Jesus, God, Allah, Jehovah. There's always sacred places involved with it, or holy lands, and a thing, which is either some holy book, scripture, or system of rules and regulations. It's always done and spoon-fed to you in the systems of threes, ABC, 1, 2, 3, et cetera, et cetera. It's done in repetition like that. And as I said, repetition could be a good or a bad thing. It's dependent on how it's used. Repetition can be used to program you, and repetition can be used to deprogram you, because repetition trains the subconscious mind, and that could be good or bad. It just depends on how it's being utilized. So, as I've said, how we've been programmed over the years, from a young child to whenever you came or were awoke, became awake, teenager and adult, there's a lot of deprogramming we have to do, but we can do that reprogramming. And that's why I said part of mastering yourself through the science of black magic is reprogramming the subconscious mind. That subconscious mind has to be reprogrammed. You have to look at it like this. When you come on this path, you're basically saying, all right, I need to, your subconscious mind is like a computer that needs to be reprogrammed. You need to just wipe out that hard drive. And how do you wipe out the hard drive? You go back and dispel the myths and the lies of everything that was spoon-fed to you that was bullshit. You go back and you get a thorough understanding and breakdown of that, right? And once you have clarity on that, now you have a clean slate. That hard drive, your subconscious mind is clean. Now you need to start feeding that spiritual mind new things, correct things. That's going to take you to another level, right? And that's why, like I mentioned earlier, the esoterical occult Bible study class is very effective for a lot of people that grew up here in the West, because a lot of us were influenced by religious dogma, whether, the three main monotheistic religions of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. A lot of that mental indoctrination needs to be wiped clean from our mind. It needs to be reformed. When I say reformed, you need to reevaluate it and put it in its correct context, dispel all the myths and the lies. Some people can't get by it. They struggle with it, right? More so people who came up in stricter religious environments, right? So once that you have that slate wiped out, that hard drive, your subconscious mind is clean, then you start to carry out and introduce new concepts, new understanding, a new level of spiritual work, and it gets that active mind now working correctly. And through that repetition and consistency, that's where the change starts to come about. So when you come on this path, you're essentially saying, I want to tear it all apart, break it down. I want to destroy it all to the very core and essence, which is a painful thing. It's not always pleasant. I'm going to be honest with you. And it's not easy. Anybody tells you that this shit is easy, they don't know what they're talking about. This shit is work. It can be intense. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's wonderful moments involved in this. I'm not painting the picture that everything is, negative and gloom and doom and painful. But that shit does exist. But the rewards and the blessings and the joy and the happiness, there's nothing, I said this before, there's nothing like getting up in the morning with the feeling that you're your own person. I can't put that into words. It's priceless. It's a great feeling to get up every morning to know you're in control of your life on a spiritual, mental, and emotional level. It's a great feeling to get up every day to know you're not programmed to be in some paradigm or construct that you're so miserable that, people that get up every day that they hate doing what they go to do every day, or people that get up every day and feel like they got to play the role and go to church every Sunday just to please family members or people around them, or they feel like they have to put on this fake persona to live a life in a society that pressures them to conform, right? The most beautiful thing about this path, which is very Luciferian in nature, is you have that right and that ability to choose what it is you want to do, right? And the only right way of doing things is the way that works for you. You have your way, I have mine. As far as the only way to do things, it doesn't exist. Nietzsche, one of my favorite quotes. If you understand that concept, every day you're creating the book of life when you step out of bed. We don't want to deal with dead people's books anymore. Most of the books people are arguing and fighting over, everybody in those books are dead. We're fighting over dead people, right? And we're fighting over some people who historically can't be proven. And we're still having these arguments in 2022 about the prophets of the Bible, Moses, Jesus. What race were they? Were they real? We can't even conclude that any of these events historically and factually ever happened, right? So we're arguing over not just dead people, we're arguing over dead things that's irrelevant for us in 2022. Start getting up every day and creating the book of life, your book. You write a chapter in that book every day you get out of bed. When you wake up, everything you set out to do is a new chapter in your book of life. And the success of that is going to be determined in your approach. So make that decision to get up in the morning, be in control of your life. Right? Do things that you want to do that make you happy. Strive to do whatever it is you do for work, business, or career. Do something that makes you happy. If it's a job, do a job you love. If it's running a business, run a business that you enjoy doing. Whatever it is, I don't care what it is. But your personal happiness is the most important thing. Because if you're miserable, then you can't be effective to anything else around you, especially if you have children, family, significant others, right? So you're basically saying, here I am, rip it all apart, take it to the ground, destroy it all, so I can build it back up again. If you're not willing to make that ultimate sacrifice, that's the ultimate sacrifice. To basically say, here I am, let's tear it apart, let's start all over again. That's literally what you're doing. Not that, on the straddling the fence shit. We got a lot of people that come on the occult left-hand path, they want to straddle the fence. What do I mean? They still want to play Ifa. And they still want to play Christianity and Hebrew mystic. And they still want to play Kemetic philosopher all the time. And they still want to play, spiritual, traditional stuff, which I'm not saying you can't do any of that stuff, but modify it in a way that works for you. Don't feel obligated you need to do it a traditional way only because somebody said so. So straddling the fence does not work on this path. Okay, you will not get as I said before, it can actually be more damaging. You can fuck yourself up more even mentally. You can confuse the shit out of yourself and create a lot of issues, right? So having said that, let's continue. I know that was a lot for one sentence, but anyway. The all is spirit, but what is spirit? There's a good question here. And this is why I said this. These few pages get into a little bit more in depth than just the surface breakdown of that first principle, right? The question cannot be answered See, that's the mistake. I've been telling people that for years. When you ask somebody what is spirit or what is God, right? The fool is the one that's a fool is the one who thinks they got the complete answer to that question. That's the fool. It's always the one that think they know because it's their personal understanding, and that's fine. But as long as you understand that's your personal interpretation, because as I've said many times before, we were sitting at a round table and we had 7, 8, or 9 people, and I went around that table and I said, what is the meaning of God and spirit to you? We would probably have several different. No, not probably. We would. We'd have several different perspectives of what spirit is, right? So that's why it's saying that you can't answer that question definitively, because a person's going to answer that based on their perception, their understanding, and their experience, right? Okay. The question cannot be answered for the reason that its definition is practically that of the all, which cannot be explained or defined. Spirit is simply a name that men give to the highest conception of infinite living mind. It means the real essence. It means living mind. Now, I got to stop here because it's connecting spirit to mind. And I told you the spirit and the mind and the body all function together. And I told you spirit and soul are connected, and there's an important component of that to your mind. And there's an old saying, mind your mind for the jewels of your soul, right? If you lose your mind, you lose your soul. So we have also, throw out the window all these old religious definitions of what spirit and soul is. There's a more scientific explanation and breakdown, as this book does. So this is why it's important to be in a sound mind. They know if they can make you go fucking crazy out of your mind, not be sane on your personal level, where you're doing things where you're not in that sound mind, they know they can control you. This is why people go what people classify as being crazy, split personality disorders, hearing voices, being a ripe candidate for walk-ins and spirits to possess them, right? Their goal now is to captivate. I've been talking about this for the last couple months on different videos. Their job right now is to captivate and control your mind. This is what they're doing. I've been saying this, right? And there's a lot of different theories out there of what's going on in the world. Some say, the vaccine, this fake shot contains, and I don't want to get into all the conspiracy theories, and I want to talk about it. You got to be careful what you say on YouTube and some of these platforms because they screen what you're saying. But there is a effort and an aspect to control your mind and captivate it. How? By systems of conformity, control, indoctrination, fear, terror. We see everything. The pandemic, wars, school shootings, all these catastrophic events, the hurricanes, natural disasters. All of this is designed to captivate and control your mind and take your imagination. Right? I've been talking about that a lot for the last few months. If they can steal away from you and destroy your ability to connect with the power of your imagination, they got you. It's that simple. That's the goal. Okay? That is the goal. Okay? So you can't put a definition on something that needs to be explained outside a person, place, or thing. Now, when it's talking about the mind, as I said before, when a person has a nervous breakdown, when a person has bipolar issues, personality disorders, they're losing their soul because they're losing their mind. That's what it means. The mind and the soul are connected because it's the power of the mind that connects you to the true essence of yourself, which is your soul, right? And like something Einstein said, knowledge is just not reading a bunch of facts. It's about understanding that knowledge and being able to apply it, right? That applies across the board. It doesn't matter what your philosophy, thoughts, religion, dogma, or spirituality is. That's just common fucking sense, right? So keep the mind, the body, and the soul work as a fine mechanism. But the mind and the soul are intricately linked. You must understand that. And this is why it's very important you feed your mind, especially the subconscious, things that it needs to keep that spirit body vibrating with the correct light and frequency it needs, the light, the level of knowledge, the intellect and frequency. As I said before, this is why a lot of people get sick, right? It's not so much like when a lot of people get these basic ailments where the body breaks down, the immune system gets weak, they get flu-like symptoms or flu-like illnesses. 90% of the time, yes, sometimes it's from just germs and viruses that are out there and seasonal things that are going on, etc. But sometimes there's a disconnect between the spirit body and the physical body, right? So you got to have this understanding, and understanding the mental universe gives you that understanding. It's what's going to help you through times of difficulty, all right? So the living mind, it means the real essence. It means living mind is much superior to life and mind as we know them, and the latter are superior to mechanical energy and matter. Spirit transcends our understanding, and we use the term merely that we may think or speak of the all. For the purposes of thought and understanding, we are justified in thinking of spirit as infinite living mind. At the same time, acknowledging that we cannot fully understand it. Because when we're saying the mind is an infinite living thing, there's no parameters. So when we go even deeper and we talk about the void and the abyss and the deep aspects of it's the subconscious mind we're talking about. When one goes into the void or the abyss, they're going beyond, the mundane consciousness of the objective universe and objective consciousness. And the only way to connect it with that is through the subjective mind. So everything you experience in your subjective realm, even though it's subjective in nature, it is very real to you because you created it. Nobody else could have. No matter how bizarre it may seem, people always talk about, I had this dream, or I had this vision, or I had this experience. And I always notice, and sometimes in these cases, people will use the term, or they'll use a verbiage saying things like, oh, it's very bizarre. Oh, it didn't make sense. Oh, I couldn't really piece it together. I couldn't quite understand it all. There's a meaning there. You might not understand it right there and then on the surface, but you are the person or the living being or entity that was responsible for creating it, no matter how bizarre it is. I don't care if you saw some bizarre creature or entity in your dream. You created it from some aspect of you, what you connected to in your subconscious mind, because that's where you dug it up from. You just don't understand how it got there and how you dug it up. But once you get that understanding, you will realize there's nothing that was not created or put there that you did not create yourself. We're not talking about what later after the fact, where we've been, as I said, spoon-fed things and indoctrinated. We're talking on a more objective aspect. I'm talking subjectively in your subjective universes. There's no parameters. There's no boundaries. That's why it uses the word infinite here, right? The mind is infinite. Understand that. You can't put parameters on it. You can't put a beginning and an ending and time frame on it, right? Because from that divine mind, or what people call consciousness, is where all things manifested. But that started in darkness, right? This is when we talk about the primordial abyss, when you get all your concepts of Tiamat, when you get all your, when they're trying to show you and explain things that had its very prime or original essence, right? What did it define spirit as up here, right? It used the term, where is it? Is defined, blah, blah, blah. What is spirit? Spirit can it means living mind or superior mind, or the real essence was the term it used. Right, now keep in mind, this is even limited to a degree because, remember, we have to use words and concepts because we're here in a three-dimensional setting of person, place, or thing. So we have to use three-dimensional words to explain things that are outside of 3D. And that's a complicated thing, right? So how do you define things that are beyond 3D, but yet give an explanation of it using 3D? This is why some people don't realize they ask questions and they get confused. They don't feel like they're getting the answer when it comes to things of this nature. It's because you're asking that to be explained of your limited mind and not your higher mind. The only way you're going to be able to understand some of these things is through your experiences. This is what I further mean when I say you're not going to get the answer to everything in a book or from somebody, whether it's me or anybody else or any other teacher or elder. They can only help you to a certain degree or level. There has to be the point where the student lets go of the master or the teacher's hand and becomes the master and the teacher themselves. But the problem is a lot of people don't want to take that step. They want to continue to be followers. Look, we're always all to a degree students because we always have to have that student mentality in the sense that we're always willing to learn. I'm always a student, right? Not a student in the sense that I follow. And that's why I say people that I work with, I don't want you to follow me. I want you guys to be students and teachers, right? Be a student in the sense that you want to learn. You want to learn so you can grow to the best of your ability on all levels. Followers are people that just sit around and wait to be told what to do and put their livelihood and spiritual sovereignty in the hands of somebody else, thinking that that person's going to take them to some type of promised land, pie in the sky, or some great euphoria down the road, or whatever. That's slave mentality. Something we must completely give up. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next page, 41. Let us now proceed to a consideration of the nature of the universe as a whole and its parts. So now there's a limited level of this. We'll talk about it as we go through, because remember, uni is one, right? The planets in our Milky Way galaxy is what comprises this universe, but we know there are universes beyond this one. So we have to keep that in mind as we go through this. What is the universe? We have seen that there can be nothing outside of the all. Then is the universe the all? The answer is no. This cannot be, because the universe seems to be made up of many and is constantly changing. That's the key. One of the most basic principles in metaphysics and alchemy is anything that doesn't change dies. We're living in a universe. We're living in a cycle of our living in life that is constantly changing at all times. But we even got it reversed. We're living to die, and I keep telling people that. We think what we're terming as living, confound to this three-dimensional existence, is really living. It's dying to live. And now you might be saying, Baniti, I'm really confused. What the fuck are you talking about? Really simple. Remember your point of origin of how you got here. You lived in water in the womb of your mother for 9 months in that state of what you would label as tranquility. The moment you emerge from the womb of your mother and the birth canal and the cave and womb of the female, Lilith, Tiamat, the divine mother, as soon as you set foot out of that womb is when you started to die. See, they tricked you and said that was living, that was life. No, because you came from a spirit state or an etheric state, as they say, right? You went from the form of a spirit or ether or energy being into the form of a liquid being in the womb of your mother, and then you personified in the physical flesh. Once you took on physical form, you also accepted what comes along with that, and that's death. Because what we're terming living, we say, well, it's living. You know, you go from a baby to an infant, to an adolescent, to a teenager, to adult, but you're also physically getting older. And we know physical age is a defect on this three-dimensional realm. Okay? Because what happens as you start to age, even if you take prime good care of yourself, right? You could be dieting well, exercising. At some point, you're going to get old and die. To do what? To go back to the essence and point of origin you came from originally, right? So this is not living, people. Don't fool yourself, okay? You can think that. Now, it doesn't mean you don't live your best life, because there is a purpose and an intent of why you're here. And that is one, to live life to the fullest, not just reckless and abandon and just in indulgence. That's part of it. You should indulge and enjoy yourself and live life, but you should also use this time to really sharpen the divine intellect. These are all the things that Tehuti represents. So when you prepare to make that journey into infinity, as they say, right, and beyond, was that Tom Buzz Sawyer? What the fuck was that movie? This time is utilized for that. You should be sharp on your spiritual work. You should be understanding the mysteries of life and death, why you're here, how you got here, and where you're going. And once that fear of death is removed, the individual's understanding transcends to all new levels. People don't realize the indoctrination of death is one of the biggest tools that weighs people down, and not on a known level. I'm talking about on an unconscious level. Most people run to religions because of fear of it, because a lot of these faith-based religions promise pie in the sky later. So they figure, I joined, I sign up for the club, I'm good to go, regardless. I just get in, I got my membership, I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get that understanding. Doesn't work like that. All right. All right, so this cannot be, because the universe seems to be made up of many and is constantly changing. In other ways, it does not measure up to the ideas that we are compelled to accept regarding the all, as stated in the last lesson, which was the chapter on the all, previous chapter. Then if the universe be not the all, then it must be nothing. I'm going to talk about this in a minute. Such is the inevitable conclusion of the mind at first thought, but this will not satisfy the question. For we are sensible of the existence of the universe. Then if the universe is neither the all nor nothing, what can it be? Let us examine the question. Part of that understanding is, in order to have something first, right? I've said this many times over the years, you must have nothing first. That first state of existence has to be nothingness. Now, there's a play in phonetics on word, because nothing, and when broken down in half, or no thing, right? We know what a thing is. Nothing or no thing must be there first. That state of existence must be first before you can have the something, or the sum, the SUM, the sum of a thing, or the totality of the thing, right? We need to have this understanding, because we're too old to believe that poof, somebody snapped their fingers and poof, everything just appeared. Puff the magic dragon, wave my Harry Potter wand, and poof, it's all there. That works if you're a kid. That's a nice little fairy tale and story to feed a child. But, when you become a grown adult, just come on, man. We shouldn't be co-signing on shit like that as grown adults. All right, so let's examine this further, right? All right. If the universe exists at all, pay attention to that. So this universe that we think exists, I should say, some say it's just a holographic image, right? And we're seeing this holographic image based on our perceptual understanding. I was going in on this maybe a couple months ago in one of the videos here. And then to understand this principle of perception and reality, I used the example of virtual reality and artificial intelligence, right? Perception is a motherfucker, because remember, you're perceiving this universe, you're perceiving consciousness and information by a bunch of energy and signals that they're transmitting to you via your subconscious mind. As I said before, there's Wi-Fi and internet. Wi-Fi, if you looked at it and visualized it and had to use it as a diagram, you would see a vibrational frequency of energy being transmitted in nanoseconds, right? That's what Wi-Fi does. It conveys signals through frequencies and vibrations. So they call it wireless, right? It doesn't need any electrical outlet or plug to do it. It's able to tap into the natural vibrational frequencies and energies that, or tachyon frequencies, some call it that, or the glue in the fabric that keep these universes intact. It taps into that ability. It understands those that understand the process of how that works, and it's very easy to use that energy to send messages to the subconscious mind, right? Knowingly and unknowingly. Anytime you turn on the internet and you go on to Google, right? Your brain, your satellite, your brain connects with the satellite and the energy of that information that's being downloaded, because as it processes it to you and you visualize it, you then look upon it, perceive it, and then you start to assimilate it in your mind. That's why they say the universe in some schools of thought is a holographic image. It's not real. It's an illusion. It's only an illusion in the sense of how we perceive it, and how we perceive it is how we manifest it. You understand that? And I use these virtual reality games, right, to show you that it's a bunch of signals and holographic images they send you. And your mind then is going to determine how it perceives it. Because if you ever play one of them virtual reality games, you could be playing a game. I've seen people do the tennis game or a shooting game. You don't have a tennis racket in your hand. And if you're watching somebody play it, it looks crazy because they have the goggles on and they're seeing what they're seeing, and their brain is registering what they're seeing. They're seeing a ball come at them. They're seeing them holding a racket. So they're playing a full game like somebody would normally, or what you know as normally. You're looking at it from an outside perspective like, that shit looks crazy. There's nothing there. To you, there's nothing there because you're not receiving the visuals and the signals and the energy, because once the mind taps into it and they visualize, you get the visualization, then you're going to manifest it of how you see and transmit the energy, right? So this is what this is talking about. This is what I'm trying to tell you, man. This shit, this first principle, people have no understanding of it. They think they do. They have no understanding. Now it gets further when I say to you, everything, even when you manifest spirits and demons, it taps into this understanding and this concept. When you have what you are labeling as an external experience with an ancestor, with one of the gods or goddesses of the many different pantheons. So, I was in my ritual chamber. I was doing a meditation, and Bilal personified in front of me. Yes, but Bilal personified in front of me because when you opened up your psyche, it opened up critical data, and then it started, based on your understanding and what you stored there, it started to give an image of what you created, of what Bilal looks like in your mind, whether it was information you gathered from books, other sources. You as the God now started to create how you needed to see, for an example, this Bilal, right? So it goes back to the core foundation of this principle. It all begins in the mind and understanding the power of the mental universe, right? And it's beyond person, place, and thing, okay? All right. So, but as something can never come from nothing, from what could the all have created it? Question mark. Some philosophers have answered this question by saying that the all created the universe from itself. That is, from the being and substance of the all. But this will not do. For the all cannot be, this is what I was saying earlier, because the all cannot be subtracted from nor divided as we have seen. Because you can't subtract from the all. How can you take from the all? Where would you put it? You understand? That's what it's trying to tell you. It doesn't make sense. Nor divided as we have seen. And then again, if this be so, would not each particle in the universe be aware of its being the all? The all could not lose its knowledge of itself, nor actually become an atom, right? Or blind force, or lowly living thing. Some men indeed realizing that the all is indeed all, and also recognizing that they men existed, have jumped to the conclusion that they and the all are identical. This is a mistake. And they have filled the air with the shouts of, I am God, to the amusement of the multitude and the sorrow of sages. The claim of the corpuscle that I am man would be modest in comparison. So what it's saying here, this is what I mean when we're saying you are God, right? People that are saying this, we're not talking about this spooky God, right? When we're using that term on this path, we're saying it from a term of responsibility. We're saying it from a perspective of having a different level of understanding. We're saying it from a perspective of that we have chosen the path of apotheosis, self-mastery, right? But what indeed is the universe if it be not the all, not yet created by the all, having separated itself into fragments? Now, remember, I was talking about fragments earlier. Okay, watch how this breaks this down. What else can it be, or what else can it be made? It's just like when you look at stars, right? When I was relating that to ourselves earlier, the only way we're going to understand this connectiveness is separating from it, because we are these fragments of this all that it's talking about here. When you look at stars, for example, and when stars collapse, right? We know stars collapse and create other suns and other planets, right? So what we're seeing, even though there's a breaking away in a sense that there's fragments, but it's still coming from the same source, and those break down into other fragments, and those break down into other fragments. We know that's what stars are. Stars are planets that have collapsed, right? Dying stars, right? Then when we look at it from a perspective of, as I've said before, scientists thought not too long ago that atoms were the smallest particles. Look at the breakdown of the atom. Then they said, no, atoms ain't the smallest particles, right? It's quarks. Then they said, no, quarks ain't the smallest particles. It's byads. No, byads ain't the smallest particles. It's zeals. So they realized it's infinite, like it said, and the mind is infinite. They realized what they were showing you was what we're terming and labeling the spirit world. It's infinite. It's never ending. So then they just stopped with it altogether. They realized what we have been able to identify at some point called the atom was not the smallest particle. This is what they were trying to show us. Now, granted, it's a learning process, trial by error, right? It's part of the process, but that had to be addressed, right? But what indeed is the universe if it be not the all? And not yet created by the all, have been separated into fragments. That's where we left off. What else can it be? Or what else can it be made? This is the great question. Let us examine it carefully. We find here that the principle of correspondence comes to our aid here. The old Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, may be pressed in service at this point. Let us endeavor to get a glimpse of the workings on the higher planes by examining those on our own. The principle of correspondence must apply to this as well as other problems. Let us see, on his own plane of being, how does man create? Well, first, he may be create by making something outside of materials. But this will not do, for there are no materials outside of the all, which it may create. Well, then, secondly, man procreates or reproduces his kind by the process of begetting, which is self-multiplication, accomplished by transferring the portions of his substance to his offspring. But this will not do, right? Long story short, without continuing to read and beat a dead horse, it's trying to show you that it's never ending. It's infinite. The mistake people make is by trying to define what that all is. That's the mistake, because now you're trapped in that paradigm that you shouldn't be trapped in, which simply is trying to explain something from a three-dimensional perspective that exists outside of three-dimensional existence, which is person, place, or thing. This is what it's trying to show you. And this is where people get stuck like Chuck. And this is where all your heavies try to break shit down and get all scientifical and give you their interpretation of it and et cetera, et cetera. That's cool. But the answer is there's not one answer. Stop trying to define and limit this understanding. I'm going to stop there. I'm just going to touch on a few things. I wasn't going to make this too long-winded tonight. Again, this was to show you, I wanted to show you the power of the mind. Now, there's one section here, though, I do want to skip down. On page 43, this was the other thing I had marked. Let me just finish through this. The all can create in no other way except mentally. There's the real understanding of why you can't put a definitive definition on it. So each individual mind is creating individually, which comes together as one collective consciousness, right? And that's why I said what we're calling consciousness is all linked and grouped together and moves as a whole entity, right? We just don't know how the intricate individual aspects of it work, which is you, which makes each individual unique in the sense that they are their own individual to a certain degree. So that's one of the strong, or that's one of the key understandings of what the answer to that question is. The all can create in no other way except mentally. Now, if you're paying close attention, you're also getting an understanding of how you work magic, black magic, a greater black magic working, right? The all can create in no other way except mentally without either using material, and there is none to use, or else reproducing itself, which is also impossible. There is no escape from the conclusion of the reason, which is, as we have said, agrees with the highest teachings of the illuminated mind. Just as you, the student, may create a universe of your own in your mentality, so the all creates universes in its own mentality. See what it just said there? I hope you caught that. So you, right? The student, just as you, the student, may create a universe of your own in what? In your mentality. You're constantly building and destroying and creating universes simultaneously, consciously and unconsciously. This is also the doctrine of correspondence with there's always a giving and a receiving going on. There's always a taking, and there's always a building and a destroying. You can't, that correspondence never ceases on all levels, right? But your universe is the mental creation of a finite mind, whereas that of the all is the creation of the infinite, right? So it's saying your mind, right? Your finite mind, your mundane existence that you have put boundaries and parameters can only create and go to a certain understanding so far. When you are out of that finite mind, then this is where it shifts to a whole nother level of understanding. That's where there is no parameters. Okay. The all is the creation of the infinite. The two are similar in kind, but infinitely different in degree. Right? The universe and all it contains is a mental creation of the all. Verily indeed, all is mind. All right. So again, that's to just give you a little bit of a breakdown and an understanding of or to help you to understand and how your perception and your approach. Because I said a lot of people are jacked up and because they don't have no technique in their approach because their understanding and their wisdom is weak. It's not good. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do, because like I said, I wasn't going to keep this too long-winded tonight. Let's see if we got any questions. So now would be the time. Put some questions. I'm going to start at the top of the chat. I'm just going to go in order. I'll try to the best, more so focused on the questions. If I feel the comments are in alignment with what we're talking about, I'll mention certain comments if I feel it applies. All right, so let's see what we got. Let's get your thoughts. Questions. All right, so as I said earlier, infernal blessings to all. If I didn't greet you in the beginning, let's get that out the way. Let's see what we got here for questions. Oh, this was earlier from Jenny. To me, I did not realize you were in Florida. I apologize for not being sensitive to what was going on in your hood. I'm glad everything's okay with you and yours. Oh, no worries. Yeah, I'm in South Florida, Southeast Florida. As I said earlier, I Oh, there we go. Sorry. My mic was muted. Can everybody hear me? I just want to confirm it's back on. Can everybody hear me? Somebody just type in that you can hear me. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I hit it by accident. I was touching the mouse and I went and hit the mute button by accident. My bad. Yeah, as I said earlier, I went on Instagram earlier today, did a live because a lot of people were reaching out asking because you know, as we know, hurricanes just finished passing through Florida. But I am in Southeast Florida. I'm right on the I'm in pretty much close to North Fort Lauderdale, which is the tip of South Palm Beach County going into North Broward. We were fortunately, we were lucky. We were spared. We didn't get a direct hit. We did get some tropical weather. If you came on late, just to give you a quick update, we did get some tropical weather. We got some tropical force winds, some rain, but we didn't get any serious damage. No really serious structural damage. No power outages. Though there were some random tornadoes that did fall not too far from here. It destroyed a place called Kings Point, destroyed a few row of buildings. There were some random tornadoes, which is normal with these hurricanes. They tend to drop. So we were good along the East Coast. It didn't impact the East Coast, although it did turn a bit when it earlier today when it got up to the north part of the state. It did turn, made a sharp turn east. Jacksonville, from what I heard this morning, got hit with some tropical, really heavy tropical minimum category 1 type of weather, category 1 hurricane weather. But the West Coast got hit pretty bad. They took a direct hit. Fort Myers, Naples, Estero, Port Charlotte. And as I said earlier, if you got people out that way, check on them. Now, they may not have internet or power right now. See multiverse. Yeah, Orlando, certain parts of Orlando got flooded pretty bad too. It depends on where you were in Orlando, the way the storm crossed. So Central Florida too. Check on your people up there in Central Florida. But as far as South Florida, the Southeast coast, we're pretty good here. We were spared any direct serious impact, pretty much from West Palm Beach on down to Miami. We were fortunate. Let's just hope we don't get anything, and let's hope that's the last one of this season, which we still have a few more weeks left of hurricane season. But I can tell you this, traveling back and forth, you know, living my whole life in New York and coming here when my father first bought a house here. I've been coming back and forth here for years, and then eventually moving here and buying a house here in 2015. I can tell you their response is much better over the years. They're getting, because obviously you learn when you go through shit like this, right? So the response is a lot better. Like, for an example, this one here, there's 23 different states that are here, utility and power companies to assist in the recovery process. I remember going back even before I lived here when my father first moved here, some of the hurricanes from the early 90s, like Hurricane David, and it was bad. You know, sometimes you'd be without power for weeks. The response wasn't as good. So that's the upside. It's usually, as I said before, sometimes the news be hyping it up. It's worse. They make it worse, and they're usually showing you footage right near the intercoastal of the water, which it's a fucking no-brainer. Obviously, it's going to be more chaotic over there because of the storm surge. So yeah, but anyway, I appreciate people reaching out, and that's why I went on there this morning, and that's why I addressed it in the beginning of the video. I'm doing it now because unfortunately I just can't respond to everybody's emails. A lot going on right now, but I appreciate everybody that did reach out. All right, let's see what else we got. All right, go to the top. What happened here? So no worries, Jenny. All right. Hold on, man. This thing's skipping on me like a mug. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. That left off at Jenny's comment. All right.
All right.
So I think this question was earlier to the Patreon. I think this was a question from Multiverse Speaks earlier. What if you're late in the game to start all these classes? Like I said, if you sign up or you join the Patreon page, and yes, we have a bunch of ongoing series of classes. As I said, they're all archived, so you have access to go back, and including all the classes that have work and material that you need to get on your own and do on yourself. All the instruction is there. So when I tell people that join and come in the midst of some of these ongoing classes, you have time in between each class, sometimes weeks, sometimes a month or weeks or more. You just go back and catch up to the other classes on your time, right? Because they're archived, so you can do it whenever you want. Now, it's always encouraged to try to get to the live classes because it's a great experience to be with others and interact. But obviously, I understand everybody has different schedules, so it's impossible to come up with one time to do these classes where everybody can make it. So whoever comes gets there, and then whoever can't, everything is archived. So you have access to all of the old material from day one, or the older stuff to the current and newer stuff moving forward. So that's all. Yeah, Ginny, you'll get a taste of that in that class, the Esoteric Bible Occult Study class. I enjoy doing it because, as I said before, the Bible and Quran is a corrupt and poisonous book when it's presented from mortal religious minds, because they've used it to give their interpretation of stories and cultures and concepts that predated it, because there's nothing in those books that have their point of origin or authentic or original from those religions. So in that class, we go in depth about, like for an example, we go in depth that the first 7 chapters of Genesis basically was taken from the Gilgamesh epics. It's your creation story. We show its connection from a lot of the ancient Sumerian tablets. We show the connection with a lot of the ancient Egyptian stories and characters, where your Moses story and your Exodus comes from. We go in depth in the lost books, etc. So it goes really in depth. It dispels a lot of the myths and lies that men came together to hide behind, used in a system called religion to control people's minds. Right. So yeah, it's a great class for those. Matter of fact, when I restarted it about a year ago, I was doing it a few years back. It was a popular class back in the early 2000s, even before I was on the internet. And so somebody brought it to my attention, somebody I know well that's been with me for many years, and said, "Hey man, you should bring that class back." And I brought it back even before I had the Patreon page. I think it was 2017 or 16. I think it was early 2017 before I just brought back the whole series now. And it was a great response to it. And then I said after that, you know what, I'm gonna try to keep this going. And then obviously, life happens. You get busy and you get sidetracked. So now I've organized it where we're gonna keep, it's one of the ongoing series. So yeah, definitely check it out. All right. All right. What else we got? Yeah, the Kabbalion again. This is a very well-known book. You should have this in your library if you study the occult, if you're on some path of consciousness. It's always a book when people ask, what's a good book, or what's some of the first books I should get? That's one of them. If you don't understand that, but don't just really read the book in its entirety, not just the breakdown of the different principles, because there are chapters in here like this one, the mental universe, even the one before it, the all, which maybe down the line I'll touch on that. It gives a lot of important information to help you understand people always talk about the micro and the macrocosm. It helps you really understand the spirit world. It helps you really understand if you are an occult practitioner and you do practice magic. It's going to help you understand that. Very important. Yeah, the book is available. You can get Amazon. Most companies carry it. I know you could even walk, if people even do that. You can walk into places like Barnes and Noble. They usually stock it. I found this a few years ago when I was traveling in St. Louis, and it was like in a cult bookstore where I was at. I don't know if it was really, yeah, it was kind of like in a cult bookstore. And I saw this, and I had the soft copy, but I wanted the hard copy. And it's got the little, the marker, which is cool because, as I said, this is a book you should always be going back to and referring to. All right. To Will Knight's question. Well, there's a lot of theories on who the person that they're calling Hermes thrice or three times, or the Trismegistus, as they say, right? When you're reading the Emerald Tablets, for an example, right? They talk about three manifestation of Hermes. Now, Hermes to the Hermetic. Sorry, I hit the mic again. Should be back now. All right, there we go. I gotta stop touching that. My bad. Hold on. Let me move this over. All right. So when you're reading when you're talking about Hermes, you're talking about through Hermetic philosophy, which comes more from the Greco-Roman aspect of Egyptian literature, which comes after the pre-dynastic Egyptians, right? So what they believed was that this was an incarnation of Tehuti or Thoth, right? Now, we can't 100% confirm, but based on some of the evidence and some of the documents that they're referring to, there's a strong cause for that. So according to Hermetic philosophy, they believe Hermes was an incarnation of Tehuti or Thoth. Okay. All right. And the Emerald Tablets of Tehuti presents it as, as such, or if you've read or studied books on Hermetic philosophy, right? Again, my focal point more, whether that's your understanding of it, if you believe it was Tehuti / Thoth, or you have a different understanding of it. Again, as I said earlier, the important thing is the information that's being conveyed. And that's more important because in the Emerald Tablets and in the teaching and the wisdom of the Hermetic philosophy of Hermes, there's a lot of powerful information that one can apply to themselves to master themselves. So to me, that's the more focal point, because really at the end of the day, there's certain things we can have a discussion over or intelligently debate historically who and what this was. But my whole thing is, at the end of the day, what point is that going to serve other than if you feel you have that compelling need to know, and that's fine too. But I think the most important thing is that. And again, but according to Hermetic philosophy, they say it's a reincarnation, three manifestations of Tehuti or Thoth. All right. Why does this thing keep jumping? All right, hold up. All right, here we go. All right. All right, mic's good. I gotta stop moving that thing around. Okay, here we go. All right, so that was Will Knife's last question. Multiverse sticks. Are you saying that we have to choose the left or right hand paths? No, what I'm saying is, see, let's clarify that term, left hand path and right hand path. Really, these again are terms humans make up and create. Those are terms just to convey two aspects of the same thing. In essence, what a true occult practitioner needs to establish, they need lighter and darker aspects of both of these paths on a harmony aspect on a personal level, right? So there are things in right-hand path philosophy or lesser systems, or what one would define and term as lighter spiritual energies. And there are darker aspects of knowledge and wisdom and understanding or energies. The real well harmonized adept or balanced adept, he or she has a good harmonization of both. So it's not about, you're not trying to choose between right and left hand path, but you're not also supposed to say you're exclusively one or the other. We might refer to the left hand path in certain things and the right hand path, But in essence, really having a good understanding of both is somebody who is on the path of self-mastery, is what I call it, or the path of apotheosis, self-mastery. So it's not about choosing, right? It's about having a well-balanced and harmonious understanding of both. But where it goes wrong is when one just wants to be completely right-hand path and fluffy and just deal with the lighter side of things. And then one also makes the mistake when they think everything's about dark doom and gloom. No, it's about understanding they both serve a purpose. But again, when we understand the 7 Hermetic principles, they are just polarities of the same thing. You can't choose and from something that really is the same thing. It's again, it goes back to that principle of the all. They're just lesser fragments of the same thing, right? So yeah. Then the second part of your question, what is the left-hand path perspective on energy and vibration? Very important. It's a very important contributing factor to understanding spirituality, right? Energy and vibration is core root of many things, right? When we understand energy, in some term that's important key component to understanding what gods, goddesses, spirits, and demons are, because they are different manifestations of these energies, right? And yes, they can take on or personify in different forms, right? Because energy has the ability to do that. So when we talk about these beings or these entities in the form of energy, that's in their pure state, but they can slow down their vibrational frequency and they can take on human form, or they can actually use us as vessels. But here's the deep thing. You too are one of those entities, demons, or being. It's just you forgot your way, right? So that understanding of energy and vibration is critical, right? And a good understanding of that is when you look at the doctrine of vibration, right? Nothing ever rests. Everything is always moving, even though you might think an object is still, like this bottle of water right here, right? It's a bottle of water. Even though if I place it down, it creates the illusion that it might be still. It's just vibrating at a low frequency. Understanding spiritual vibrational frequencies is a key component to understanding the spirit world. So it's very important. All right, what else we got? Young Finest. Love that name. Been a minute, brother. Been on the grind lately, Beanie, but I'm always watching your vids. It's all good, man. It's all good. You got to do what you got to do. Got to do what you got to do. All right, Mika checked out. Jayla Dainty says, what does it mean when you keep dreaming about the same celebrities? What do they symbolize in the psyche? Couldn't answer that. I don't know what celebrities you're dreaming about. I mean, that's probably more something for a private conversation, but only thing I can tell you in regards to that is what attributes do these celebrities have? Maybe there's something in them that you see in yourself. We just don't know. You would have to dig and probe deeper in that in more of a private setting. All right. All right, what else we got? Yeah, I saw all the I saw all those emojis. I was wondering what the hell that was too. That's all good. It's all good. All right. What else we got? Yeah, there's a multitude of ways. It's personal, right? If you're having dreams, it don't even just have to be celebrities. There's always a decoding process there, right? Because the subconscious mind communicates through you in symbols. It uses methods, visuals. It's going to use descriptions, things that your mind can connect with, and most importantly, things that you've put there. So when you're having visions and dreams, the subconscious mind, it'll activate portions of the psyche and what you've stored there, right? Based on your experience, what you've exposed yourself to. So this is why stuff like that, like in spiritual consultations or readings, those are things you probe further in that type of setting, But to just randomly speculate on it, We can go a lot of ways with it sideways, right? We can go many different directions with it. But yes, it's personal because it's a personal message for the practitioner that's having the experience, right? And though, as I've said this many times before over the years, though a person can sit down and try to interpret your dream to you and give you their perspective and thoughts on it, you still at some point are going to have to decode it for self because it was a vision that was specifically for you. So somebody could break it down and explain it to you till they're blue in the face, but the only way you're really going to understand it and you're really going to put it into its correct context and perspective is when you decode it for yourself. All right. So, yeah. Okay. So, what in the tarnation? I like that one too. This is incredible, truly good work. Cool. What else we got? All right, sounds should be good. Was it from earlier? All right, cool. All right, so Trident72 said, shout out to brother Taja. Bro, man, send me a text, man. I know I was supposed to call. We were supposed to chop it up last week, man. But all this shit popped out of the blue. At that time, storm was still out there. There still was uncertainty to where it was going, and I was getting ready for that just in case. But anyway, Trident72 says, I read somewhere that infants are in that state of presence where they cannot even recognize human faces yet. Is that what you mean by infinite mind, the mind undistracted by human concepts and limits? Now, that's part of it. Yeah, that's a good way or a good way to understand and connect with it, right? We only limit ourselves because once that goes away. Like even in the case when you use the example of an infant, like you say, when they're younger or when they're in the state of presence that they don't even recognize human faces yet, right? So they're not limited. They're not constricted to their understanding. They do understand that in front of them, there is some form of a being, a conscious living entity or being. This is why I always laugh when people say with small babies, when you're holding them up and they might nibble on your nose or your face and they go, oh, they're so cute. No, the baby thinks you're food. That's why the baby's doing that, because of what you're saying. It doesn't have that limited perception. The baby is not registering, oh, I see you, the person. I just thought it'd be funny and cool to nibble on your nose and your cheek. No, the baby is doing that because it's terming it as something it can eat, because it's in that raw state of mind and understanding. It's not limited, or it hasn't been programmed yet with what it's supposed to perceive based on who's doing the programming. And that's a good concept that you bring up, brother Taja, Trident72. This concept, but it's the same thing. Like I say, watch if you're a mother or a father, you know this, or if you've ever even held a baby, a sibling, or whatever. When a baby is small, how they do that nibbling on your thing. It's no different when they're putting their finger in their mouth and they're chewing on it, right? That's pure, that's in its raw prime form. He or she, that child or that infant. When they're nibbling on your nose or your cheek when they're small, they ain't doing it because the shit is cute. They doing it because they think it's food. Trust me when I tell you. Okay? So yeah, that is from where we create, correct? That would be a good example or a metaphor to put it in perspective. Yes. Yeah. Who was that earlier? Yeah, the event in October. Yes, that's been up. Stay up on the platform. We've been promoting that for months. That event is going down October 27th to the 30th. All the information is posted on the Instagram page, the Facebook page, and right here in the community section. And it's going right across the ticker on the bottom. Okay. What else we got? Good question from Enhanced Gifts. Can you change the vampire invocation in your own words? You could change anything in your own words. Contrary to what anybody else might tell you, I highly encourage it. I don't recommend you fully mimicking or copying 100% from any grimoire or ritual book, identical word verbatim. There should be your personal influence in there to some degree. There should be some changes and adjustments there that suit you on a personal level. The reason why I say that, what people have to realize, and I used this analogy in the past, it's like when you're listening to a recording artist, and people may or may not know this, when you're listening to your favorite rock band, when you're listening to your favorite musician, rapper, singer, whatever, they are exposed to certain energies that could be spirits. They're exposed to certain energy, vibrations, spirits, gods, goddesses, demons, whatever you want to refer it to, when they are recording their music. You also have to be conscious of you're exposed to it too. What they were tapping into that moment at that time when they wrote that song, created that song, or created that music, you are tapping into that same energy, vibration, and frequency. And how you react is going to determine how you assimilate it to it. That's why music can get us reacting a certain way. It can feed off of our emotions, right? It's no different when if you're copying a grimoire word verbatim, the author that wrote it, you are also tapping in to their energy and frequency at that time that they wrote that ritual. So this is why you should personalize everything you do. So I like to use different fragments and sections from different workings, but I always put my personal touch on it. So the answer to that question is most definitely. Okay. Damn. All right, here we go. All right, multiversity. If people created dream illusions by way of magic, can it still be perceived as your own personal subconscious mind? All right, so let's review this real quick. If people create dream illusions, if you're saying the individual, question is look, what is it or what's the definition of what they say an illusion is? Right? Illusion is supposed to be something that's not real. The question is real to who? Maybe something that's not real to somebody who can't perceive it or understand it, but an illusion can be very real to somebody that created it, right? It's only an illusion to somebody who can't connect with it, understand it, or perceive it. So somebody that creates illusions, it wouldn't be an illusion, right? And if you're using magic, you're using, remember, magic is manipulating the energy that's just there. You're manipulating energy, right? So really, it's not an illusion. The illusion is the manipulation of the energy is what creates what people are calling or saying is an illusion, right? And that's how it can be perceived by the subconscious mind, most definitely, right? Joshua X says, Benny, do you need incense and candles in the sigil along with invocation to summon an entity or just the invocation? Here's the thing. You don't need any of that if need be, right? Remember, when you're using ritual tools or supplies such as incense, candles, sigils, right? Now, sigils is a little different, right? Sigils represent certain states of consciousness. They carry energy, right? They can be used as portholes or conductors or doorways to the spirit realm. So the answer to the question is it depends on what type of work you're doing. In essence, let's just say you're in a situation where you don't have access or you're not in an environment to use any of those things. Really, in essence, all you need is this right here. If you have disciplined yourself and you have the gift and you've sharpened the tool of visualization, that's all you really need, because you can go into the power of your mind and visualize the whole as you need to see it. And you can say an invocation in the silence of your mind, and you could say it audible. But I'm saying all that to say, if you can prepare a ritual and utilize those tools, then by all means, do it. But sometimes there's cases and scenarios where you're not in a situation or you don't have access to do that. So really all you need in essence is this, right? All right, where are we at? Jenny, I did get the pics. I know you sent them a few days ago. Didn't get a chance to respond. I will. Again, as I said a few days back, We were more prepared in watching this storm. I was focused on that for a couple of days, just as I watched and waited to see where it turned. But I did get the email. I'll go back and remember to respond. All right. From what I saw in the picture, that looks. Now, here's the thing: you got to also be careful. I'm not sure exactly. I saw you pulled it from whatever. I don't know if it was a website or some place or source that you pulled it from. There are a lot of statues out there too that are basically just Grim Reaper statues too. You're not going to really find anything because you had aspects of bronze, black, and gold in that, right? If I, just in my own personal opinion, to address it, if I were to use a representation of an image like that in accordance or regard to Santa Muerte, first I would consecrate it in a ritual for that purpose, number one. And then I would come up with I would work with that in reference to the black and the gold aspect. I don't know offhand from when I saw it, looking at it. I don't think you're going to find a book source of that style or combination in that picture, because I think that was more designed more along, the Grim Reaper aspect, and I think just they got creative with the color and how they were going to present it and the material and all that. But I see, the black and gold representation there. So I'm saying all that to say I would customize that personally. First consecrate it and customize it personally in accordance with the work that I was doing with Santa Muerte in regards to the black and the gold. Okay. Yeah, Sherry, that's probably why. That's why your grandbaby's biting you. She ain't doing it because it's cute. She's doing it because she's hungry. I laugh. I mean, and what I'm saying, you can find child psychology books will tell you that. I read that years ago, and I can't remember which one. When I had my first son, so it was a while back. I got a 29-year-old going on 30 next month, and I remember reading child psychology. There's a book going back probably over 15, 20 years or more. But yeah, child psychology books will tell you that. Like I said, I know people go, "Oh, it's so cute. Look, he's nibbling off." Motherfucker doing it because they're hungry. All right, what else we got? I'm not sure I understand that question, Mo. I didn't know if there's, I don't know specifically if there's a name of magic used to create dream illusions other than dream magic. I know there's such thing as dream magic. But I know in dream magic, there's a multitude of methods you can use, but as far as, not saying it don't exist, but as far as what I can recollect offhand at the moment, I don't know if there's a specific name other than dream magic, right? Taylor Box says, when you want to influence a target through their dreams to change their perception of their reality, what is the best method of ritualistic induction into their dreams? Well, we teach this in the vampire class, right? We talk about astral feeding and astral projection to a target, right? So what I would encourage you, I would look at books on vampirism, such as Father Sebastian, any of his books. Michelle Bellinger got some good books on that topic, scattered about in her books. Look there. But astral feeding, astral projection, and through that astral projection, you can launch psychic attacks. That's how you can, get into their mind and change, as you put in that question, perception of their reality. Vampire techniques are very good for that. Okay. What else we got? No, that's a good point. You saw a couple of me. See, it's always your intent. That's why I said, if you find a statue that you like to your liking, and though it may not be in accordance to a lot of the mainstream stuff you read, that's irrelevant. So you always have to go to your approach as you. So if you have an altar for Santa Muerte, for an example, you would approach that altar after consecrating and cleansing and purifying those relics. You would make it clear as you placed it upon the altar what was the purpose, intent for, and what it represented, and as far as an aspect in regards to her, right? That's how you make that adjustment there. So if your spirit is feeling compelled, right, because obviously something is drawing you to the energy of those statues, that's how I would pursue it. I wouldn't shut it down. Don't. And I know maybe you're not aware of it and you're not doing it intentionally. Don't let that traditional stuff creep into your mind, right? It's your personal relationship with the spirit, but more importantly, as long as your approach and intent is clear in doing what I just mentioned, you'll be fine. Trust me when I tell you, you'll be fine. Joshua, what is your opinion on using white magic for protection and cleansing? Again, I'm at a point where I don't really classify things in regards to white or black magic, because cleansing is cleansing, right? We have cleansing personally. You can find what one calls, like for an example, the chakra meditation or chakra grounding and cleansing in the Draconian ritual book. The Draconian path is considered a very black magic or dark magic path, but there's systems and methodology we used in black magic that falls under that category of cleansing. So I say that to say cleansing is just that, cleansing. Now, whether you're using different methods of it, whether they're classifying it white or black, to me is irrelevant, as long as the cleansing suits the purpose of what you're trying to accomplish, right? Yeah. Yeah, sure. Them baby, yeah, them teeth, it's no joke, but that's what the baby's doing. Thank you for the donation. Who was that? I hope I am butchering your name. Delphine. I hope I said that right. Even Huis. I hope I didn't butcher that name. Yes, and I know you reached out to me on Patreon. I appreciate you enjoying the content on the Patreon page. Thank you. And that's I would encourage everybody to check it out. But I do appreciate you putting that in there. I'm glad you're enjoying the content on the Patreon page. All right. Matter of fact, one of the presentations at the conference, we have Brother Demetrius Clark, who's going to be at the conference. He's doing a whole presentation on vampiric sources of energy and working with blood from a ritual perspective. We're going to dispel a lot of the myths on a lot of the illusionary aspects out there on vampirism. So that is, if I didn't mention it in the beginning when I was talking about, that is one of the presentations at this year's conference. I've done classes on it. We do also on the Patreon. We're up to 5 classes. Class 6, actually, for that will be next month. I would definitely recommend it. I know you're on Patreon, Jenny. Look at the ancient Egyptian vampiric classes. We go into all that stuff there. All right. To Joshua's question, and to everybody, I would always recommend Tier 3 is a great place to start on the Patreon page. Tier 3, because it gives you access to all of the classes. The other tiers don't. Tier 3 and up. But Tier 3 to me is a great place to start, and that really is to everybody. Yes, Jenny, a Santa Muerte reading. If you want to specifically focus on her, that would be the way to go. Yeah, whatever you can afford. Now, Tier 2 doesn't give you access to all the classes, doesn't give you access to any of the rituals. But I think Tier 3 is very affordable because, like I say, $25 a month for the content that you're getting. And I don't say that in an arrogant way. For 3 classes every month and a ritual, I don't know what else. I think it sells itself personally. Multiverse Speaks says, does the astral feeding coincide with creating your own entities when you need to provide your own energy for them. Yes, there's a connection with that when you're talking about whether it's creating servitors, etc. There is an aspect that is connected to that for sure. All right, what else we got? You just texted me, brother Taja. Hold on. Let me see if I got it. Let me make sure I got it, bro. Yeah, tomorrow after 3. I will. I know I kept saying it. We've been trying to link up. Yeah, brother Trident. That's the brother we do the hip hop occult show, which we've been slacking on it. There's been just a lot of shit going on. So we got to get together, get that set up. We actually tried to come on about a month or so, but we were having major technical difficulties with. I hadn't yet. Hold on. We haven't been able to get back on since we had those difficulties because I hadn't developed working with this platform. But now I've upgraded it, so we should be good to go. Yeah, we're definitely going to link up. Definitely going to do that. Yes, I do. I do have. It's funny you just was Sundog. I do have that book. It's a great book. That's a whole class thoughts on that, and I would encourage people to get that book. We do address, and we do. That is one of the course materials in the ancient Egyptian vampiric class. Now, me being a former member of the Temple of Set, which, as you guys all know, and I posted a video about it a few years back. I resigned in June 2019. Just a lot of politics. I'm not going to get into that all here. But Don Webb was one of the ones. He was the first or the person that made me aware of the Temple of Set through his books. I encourage, and I always have over the years, whether it's his books on vampirism, Overthrowing the Old Gods is another great book I would suggest people get. The Mysteries of the Temple of Set, Set Typhonian Magic, anything that he puts out, Seven Faces of Darkness. He has a very good, I like his style and his approach on a lot of topics, right? And he's always been one author that I've always recommended. Obviously, one of his classes, Uncle Setnick's. That's another great book. Really, any of Don Webb's work is to me is worth checking out to some degree. But that book there covers a lot. I don't want to open that can of worms right now, but that might be a future class to do. Maybe discuss that a little bit here. We do discuss that in depth. The Ascetian Bible is another good work on ancient Egyptian vampirism. There's a lot of difference of opinion on that. Some of the fluffy people are spooked out about it. I've had some of the Kemetic people, oh my God, that's blasphemy. And I'm like, how the fuck? That's a religious term. What the fuck are you talking about? Because they don't understand what true vampirism is. Most people, unfortunately, they're ignorant. When I say most ignorant people hear the word vampire or vampire, and their mind goes to Dracula and Transylvania and blood-sucking creatures of the night. The mythos of the vampire, that mythos comes from the ancient Kemetic teachings of vampirism. And vampirism is the absorption of the energy of the gods, and it goes back to Pharaoh Unas of the 4th dynasty of ancient Egypt, right? He believed in absorbing it was the absorption of the consciousness and energy of the gods and the goddesses. Astral feeding, or that absorption and feeding, reason why it turned from that into blood is because the life is in the blood. So when the mythos of the modern day vampire evolved, this is where it started. They took those concepts and came up with the mythos, and it became literal, right? Now, when you get into the literalism of, let's say, blood energy and feeding, some took it to the extent where, yes, scientifically there's life in the blood, right? Some took the actual intake of the blood literally. Now, I've said many times before, my stance when it comes specifically to that is something you have to be careful of in this day and time, because diseases can be transferred to that. So if you are a modern day practicing, say, vampire who does all those techniques, you better make sure that person's blood you're drinking was medically tested and they ain't sick and they don't have diseases, because you're also taking that in, right? And like I say, at the conference, and I've done classes on this, I've spoken about it here on the YouTube, but we touch in depth on it in the vampiric classes on Patreon. You got to be knowledgeable of all that, right? We will be addressing that in depth at the conference. But yes, I would encourage everybody, that book and any of his other work. All right. What else we got? Okay, it's hard to take a more subjective conscious to it when there's much truth. All right, I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to cut this a little bit short. I'm going to wrap it up. I just wanted to basically come on here, talk a little bit, because really my plan wasn't to come on tonight. One, my main reason for coming on was, again, I want to thank all you guys that reach out to me, were checking on me, because you guys didn't know where the storm was going. So for those that maybe came late, I just want to reiterate again, we're all clear here. As I say, in the southeast part of Florida, Palm Beach to Miami, we didn't really get anything. We didn't get directly impacted by the storm. We did get tropical. We got a little bit of a minor tropical storm for about a day and a half. We had tropical type conditions, but no serious damage, right? Nothing along those lines. So I want to thank all you guys that reached out, checking. We're all good here. But again, if you got folks on the west coast of Florida, they got hit bad. They got a direct hit the west coast. And then some portions of central Florida. Check on your peoples there if you got peoples there. Make sure they're okay. I got some peoples on there I've been able to, though their phones are down. I've been able to reach certain people, Facebook Messenger, because some people have charged their phones. So sometimes, just to give you little clues, if you can't get a text to them or a phone call, I've been able to get a hold of 3 people I know out that way through Facebook Messenger. So there's good ways. There's different ways you can connect. All right. Other than that, I want to thank you guys again. Appreciate you guys checking up on me. All was good. Well, we got a lot going on. Starting like again, we got the final to Wisdom of Tehuti ritual tomorrow night. Then October kicks off. Man, we're loaded for October. A lot of shit going on. Get on board. Check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. Patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. That's the official Primordial Chaos Facebook page. I recommend, I'm sorry, Facebook page, Patreon page. And I recommend you look at tier 3. That's going to give you access to all the monthly classes. It's a simple way to do it rather than sign up individually. But people do, and that's why I put the availability or the option to do that if you so choose. But we got a bunch of classes, as I just explained to you, for October. Rituals, we got the conference at the end of the month. So this is the busiest month of the year. This is the strongest month we finish with before we approach the holiday season, as you know, which is a wonderful, joyous time for me and a time for rest, recuperation, and regeneration. I love me some Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's my favorite time of the year. I'm like a little fucking kid, no matter how old I get. I love that shit. I don't care what anybody says, man. I love it. I go Christmas out in this motherfucker, man, everywhere. I got Santa Clauses everywhere. I got all types of Christmas shit going on everywhere, man. And we do Christmas big around here. So I get excited when this time of year. Halloween is like the bring it. See, it's crazy because my mindset is both of my sons' birthdays are 8 days apart. So my youngest son's birthday is October 18th. My oldest son is October 26th. 5 days after that is Halloween conference. Then that segues into Thanksgiving, segues into Christmas, segues into New Year's. My October to January is my favorite time of the year. Love it. To me, I got so much going on and good things. Family, holidays, there's stuff that we do here, the spiritual work. Favorite time of year. My toughest time of the year, and I'm a Gemini, my toughest time of the year, I can't stand late May to like end of July, early August. I don't function. Okay. When I say I don't function, it's not my prime or peak time of the year, right? There's an energy about it that I can't put into words. It's when I really have to grind, is what I'm saying. I really got to do some serious grinding through those months. It's just not my favorite time of the year. There's just so much, just stagnation is the best way I can describe it. Now, there could be somebody that comes from older. They're like, oh man, that's my booming time of the year. It's not mine. It's the time of the year I don't really enjoy that much. But anyway, that's neither here or there. But yeah, when Christmas comes, man, this year I did it a few years ago. When everything is done, I'm gonna take the camera and walk you guys through the house, give you a tour of the Christmas outside and inside. We got some new stuff planned for outside. Shit, I got some crazy shit. My neighbor across the street be doing it big. I'm trying to compete with them, man. We got this little friendly competition thing. But yeah, like I say, I'm blessed to be in one of them traditional type of neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like up north, where they do it big here in this neighborhood, and it's a younger neighborhood, and we got a lot of kids, younger kids, a lot of younger folks here. But man, it's great. They do Halloween big here. I mean, they do everything big here, and I'm into all that shit. I love it. It's just fun. I ain't into all that fuck all those people that that way. You shouldn't celebrate it. Look, man, I make it what I want it to be. I don't care about none of that shit. I keep telling people, save that conscious foolishness. Save that fucking, I don't deal with that nonsense. Oh, look, Christmas it's whatever I want it to be. Yeah, you see the origin of Christmas. I know what the origin is. You preaching to the choir. I don't care about none of that shit. I have a whole different approach on it. I think what I'm gonna do when that time goes, I'm gonna do the breakdown. I'm gonna do it right around the holidays. And if I forget, somebody remind me. I'm gonna do a class here on YouTube, the esoterical magical breakdown of Christmas. Okay. I'm gonna do a whole video on that. I'm gonna show you my mindset and perspective on what that all means to me. Right. And it's some powerful shit. I love it. Best time of the year. I don't care what anybody says. I know some people hate it. They don't like it and they have their reasons. And I totally respect that. And I get it. Man, I love me some Christmas. Love me some Santa Claus. Yeah. So, yeah. The summer is a bummer. I'm not a big summer person. I know some people love the summer. Look, I like if I go to the beach and even up north, I'm not big on being out there in the scorching heat. Some people love that shit. When I go to the beach here, I go to the beach from sunset on. I love the beach, right at the end of the day, going into the sunset hours. That's the best time to be out there. You're still getting enough of sun, but it's just a different feeling. But I ain't one of them motherfuckers. You ain't gonna catch me at the beach 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It ain't gonna be me there. You ain't catching me there. Yeah, I ain't into all that shit. I never was. And when we lived in New York, you got Jones Beach, got Lido Beach, got Coney Island. I never went to the beach. Wasn't a beach person. Like shit. I told you, some of you may or may not know. I don't even know how to swim. I never learned how to swim, which that's something I got to tackle because living here with all these goddamn floods and hurricanes, you should learn, right? We ran through sprinklers when we were kids in New York. We opened the fire hydrant and cooled off. That's the closest I got to water growing up. When you grow up in concrete jungle, that's what we did to cool off, right? Yeah, you don't remember the sprinklers? They used to go like this, side to side, and you used to take your shirt off or you just leave your shorts on. You should just run through them. We used to run through people's sprinklers. Like on my block in the summertime when everybody had their sprinklers on, that's what we did to cool off. Everybody just ran through the sprinklers. I know that shit sounds crazy, but that's what we did, man. Or we used to do pool hopping, right? There was always a few neighborhoods. We knew like from a certain block radius, certain people that had pools. We would pool hopping was you just late at night, sneak in their backyard and take a dip in the pool. Even if you couldn't swim, these were above water pools. I would just, jump in, cool off, jump out. We pool hopped in the summertime. We did all that stuff. Yeah, the smell of pond is magical. I agree. All that Christmas shit, man. It's mad sorcery and magic to Christmas if you understand it, from the Santa Claus icon, right? Fuck all that other shit they say. I'm going to break that whole shit down to you. That whole Santa Claus, people don't know what that is. Trust me when I tell you, but it's fun. I love it. My favorite time of the year. Okay. Anyway, other than that, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I am out. Try to pop on sometime next week. For those that are on Patreon, I'll see you guys tomorrow night, 8:20, I believe it is, or 8:30 p.m. sharp. I'll see you guys tomorrow, And for those that are on Patreon, I will see you Saturday, 3 p.m., shadow work class number 11. We'll be with you guys in that class for a few hours on Saturday. And then for the rest of the YouTube family, I'll see you guys hopefully sometime next week. All right. Other than that, Fernal blessings. Appreciate the support, and you guys enjoy the rest of your week.